Welcome and thank you so much for joining us. Is your spouse or partner exerting abusive control over money and other financial resources in your relationship? Money and financial resources that you rightfully should have access to? I'm attorney Bari Weinberger, founder and managing partner of Weinberger Divorce and Family Law Group of New Jersey. I'm here today with important information to share about financial abuse. What is financial abuse? How do you recognize the signs of financial abuse? And what steps can you take to finally break free? As a reminder, this presentation contains general information and does not constitute legal advice. Be sure to direct specific questions about your own situation to an attorney. To start our conversation about financial abuse, I would like to share a story. It's based on someone who came into our office for help. I'll call her Maria. Maria was living her physically violent husband together and wanted to start divorce proceedings. She came in for a meeting with her mother as her support person and a giant stack of papers. As she started to explain her situation about the physical abuse that had taken place, I thought, okay, let's immediately get her a temporary restraining order for her physical safety. But then we got to a pile of papers that she had brought with her. And I quickly realized that in addition to physical assault, there was another deep layer of abuse going on in her relationship. And it was the glue that had kept her stuck in place for years. It was financial abuse. In her pile of papers were bank account records, mortgage and credit card bills, and tax forms going back for years. I learned that over the course of their relationship, her husband had done things like taken out multiple mortgages in her name and defaulted on them, lied on their jointly filed tax returns, putting her on the hook for thousands in back taxes owed to the IRS, and lived a lavish lifestyle while maxing out joint credit cards and draining bank accounts. All the while, Maria had been given only about $20 a week to feed herself and was beaten if she had asked for more. She was scared and ashamed of the physical abuse and had wanted to leave for years, but she felt completely stuck and isolated in her situation because she had no access to money to actually leave. And this essentially is the insidious goal of abusive financial control. Financial abuse is a control tactic, a powerful one, that abusers use to keep their victims trapped in place. Acquiring, using, or maintaining financial resources. And to do this, abusers isolate their victims by preventing them from working or accessing a bank account, credit card, or even transportation. They often tightly monitor and restrict their partner's spending, even if it's their own money. This is all done to put their victim into a position of dependence, making it extremely difficult to break free from the control. Slide 6. What is financial? It can mean a number of things. Your paycheck is on direct, only your partner has access to, for instance. Credit cards in your name have been maxed out, and you never even charged a single item to them. You get an allowance, and it's never enough, even for basics like food for you and your kids. Every penny you spend must be accounted for, or you're going to pay the price. Your partner calls and shows up at your work, so much so that you're actually fired. You fantasize about leaving, but you feel trapped because you don't have enough money for even a bus ticket. This is financial abuse. Slide 7. Coincides with other forms of domestic violence, physical assault, sexual assault. It's shockingly common. According to Allstate's Purple Purse DV Awareness Campaign, virtually all, 99% of domestic violence cases are affected by some form of financial abuse. Breaking free from financial abuse starts with learning how to recognize it. There are distinct warning signs and red flags that financial abuse is present in a relationship. So let's take a look at some of them. Slide 9. may be exerting abusive financial control over you if he or she, all of your family's money is spent, forbidding your input, denies you access to joint accounts or has accounts titled in their name only, demands for you to return over your paycheck entirely, lashes out with verbal and or physical aggression when questioned about this arrangement, gives you an allowance even when you earn your own money, demands to see receipts to monitor your spending, even for little things like even a cup of coffee. Their suspicions over why certain items were purchased trigger verbal and or physical aggression. In their eyes, buying a new shirt can even be proof that you're having an affair. Slide 10. Financially abusive spouses may withhold funds for you and your children to obtain basic needs such as medicine or even some basic clothing. They can also run up large amounts of debt on joint credit card accounts, ruining your credit, or forbid you from working. They may sabotage your work or employment opportunities by stalking or harassing you at your workplace, or even physically batter you prior to an important meeting or interview so that you can't even go. Another tactic is to open credit card accounts or even home equity loans in your name without your knowledge or permission. Strange bills might come in the mail with your name on them, but you're forbidden from opening them and or threatened with violence if you do that. They may also knowingly falsify IRS information and make you sign off on a joint tax return with no ability to look over the forms or even ask any questions. Slide 11. Financial abuse is a control mechanism. Its intention is to make victims feel insecure and fearful about their ability to support themselves and their children should they ever attempt to leave their abuser. But here's what every victim of any form of abuse needs to know. You can get out, and your children can get out. You can be safe. You can get the money you need to live. You can absolutely break free. The following are 10 key ways we can help our clients break the financial abuse cycle. Slide 13. The first step in leaving an abusive relationship is to make a plan. We can help our clients do this by helping them to identify a number of things. First, who are the safe people in their lives? Where can they go when they leave? What should they take with them when they leave? What should they do in case of an emergency? What is their children's school contact information? What are some local domestic violence agencies that they can connect with? And what is their contact information? Plus, do they even offer shelter? Many of them do. Gather this information in one place. It's a powerful way for a victim to see that they have a safety net. It can give them the confidence to pick up the phone or walk out the door. You can download a copy of our free domestic violence safety plan by going to the link you see on the screen. Pause the screen now and take a screenshot if you'd like to keep this link handy. It's at http://bit.ly/dv-safety-plan. Slide 14. In situations of abuse, documentation is crucial. Copies of bank statements, credit card statements, bills, pay stubs, income tax returns, receipts, all of these can be helpful understanding the extent of the abuse, especially when going to court. If it's difficult or dangerous to remove documents from the home or even to make copies, taking photos of the document on a phone can absolutely be helpful. You can also collect other personal documents, the documents for your kids. These include driver's licenses, birth certificates, marriage certificates, passports, and social security cards. Documents and/or computer files or photographs can be left in a secret, safe location outside of the home, such as with a trusted friend or family member. Slide 15. Abusive financial control is sometimes so extreme that victims literally have no access to money. In these situations, it's important to identify who in their lives might be able to offer a couch to sleep on or a bus ticket that will take them to their family, or even Uber fare that they need to reach to get to shelter. There are under-the-radar ways also to help build up cash, like returning an item to a store for cash, babysitting for a neighbor, or even selling some unwanted items that might be in your basement on eBay and having the money deposited into a PayPal account. All of this can add up to a train ticket or some access to freedom. In the event of an emergency, the goal is to get out. In a situation that requires emergency, police attention, for instance, the police will be able to remove the abuser where appropriate or help the victim leave and bring them to a safe location. Victims do not require any money to receive help. Slide 16. Victims of domestic abuse may not realize that they can actually petition the courts for temporary alimony and temporary child support. These two forms of support can absolutely be key. For financial abuse victims, alimony can help you maintain your same standard of living by paying for your rent, for example, or paying for other costs that you may need to financially achieve independence, such as paying to attend school or for even job training. Child support can help with costs related to your children's needs, such as food and clothing. There can be confusions about who can apply for these forms of support. Here's what we need victims to know. You can obtain temporary support even if you have not filed for divorce, and you do not need to communicate with your abuser each week or month to get access to the money. Slide 17. For unmarried partners who have children, child support is available regardless of marital status. Independent of marital status, the courts can also help victims gain access to what is rightfully theirs, including access to joint bank accounts. This is why gathering as much financial information as possible is so important to trace where paychecks ended up and activity on other financial accounts. Slide 18. Financial abuse ends when financial control is given back to the victim. If an abuser has been using a credit card issued in the victim's name without authorization, the victim can call their credit card companies and banks and ask for new account numbers. At the same time, PIN numbers and passwords for all accounts, including email passwords, should be changed to ones that no one can easily hack. Slide 19. Credit is important for everything from renting an apartment to a job application background check. Credit reports can be accessed once a year for free at annualcreditreport.com. For abuse victims, credit reports can turn up credit cards or loans their abusers may have secretly taken out in their name. If any strange items show up, they can be disputed. Another option to protect credit is to put a freeze on any credit access. When this is done, you need to first give authorization via a secret PIN number in order to obtain a new credit card or loan in your name. It's a great form of credit protection, and in New Jersey, this is free to do. The credit bureaus can help individuals establish a freeze and a PIN. Slide 20. On the flip side, many victims have no credit in their name because, well, they have essentially been cut off from all financial activity, whether good or bad. Having credit can be a lifeline in an emergency, so a first step can be to apply for a credit card, even if it has a very low limit to start. Making small purchases of this card and paying it off religiously is the easiest way to start building up credit. If this is done before a victim has left their abuser, they can have their account information and billing statements sent to a family member's address. Slide 21. Another common financial abuse tactic is for a victim's spouse to sign their taxes without knowing their abuser has provided the IRS with faulty or fraudulent information, often concealing income. Now, in Maria's situation, it was actually a notice from the IRS that she had happened to intercept in the mail that tipped her off to an incredibly deep extent of her husband's abusive control of their finances. If money is owed to the IRS, the victim may be able to claim innocent spouse relief. Essentially, an innocent spouse is a taxpayer who did not know their spouse understated or underpaid their income tax liability. If a taxpayer qualifies as an innocent spouse, the IRS may suspend all tax liability or only hold the innocent spouse responsible for their share of the tax bill. Slide 22. Victims often feel so struck because they have no idea how they will be able to explain their situation. Lack of credit, bad credit, no savings, lack of employment history on a rental application or job application. Financial abuse can unfairly create a past that is difficult to explain. When you work with an attorney, you can give the attorney permission to be a point of contact for potential employers or landlords to explain your situation. This can be helpful in overcoming negative credit or lack of credit. For anyone affected by domestic violence, obtaining a restraining order is a critical form of protection. Victims can request for the courts to grant a temporary restraining order that prevents their abuser from contacting them anywhere, including at work. This flowchart at slide 24 shows the restraining order legal process in New Jersey. Slide 25. Domestic violence restraining orders are put in place when an act of domestic violence has occurred. The list of crimes of domestic violence in New Jersey are extensive, and they include assault, burglary, criminal mischief and criminal restraint, terroristic threats, criminal sexual contact and criminal trespass, false imprisonment, harassment and cyber harassment, kidnapping, lewdness, sexual assault, stalking, and homicide. Because financial abuse is almost always interwoven with at least one or more acts of domestic violence, it's often appropriate for victims to pursue a restraining order. Slide 26. Here's why we want to help victims obtain restraining orders and how they can help in situations where financial abuse is a factor. It prevents the abuser from having any contact with the victims, in person or by phone, at home, at work, and elsewhere. The court can order the abuser to leave the house or apartment that the couple shares, even if it's in the abuser's name. In a financial abuse situation, this can alleviate concern of having to find housing. The court can order the abuser to pay for costs that resulted from the abuse, for example, household bills that are due right away, medical and dental treatment, moving expenses, and even loss of earnings. The judge can also make the abuser pay for the victim's attorney's fees and related legal costs, such as court filing costs, and can make the abuser pay damages to the victim as well as related parties. This is priceless help for victims of financial abuse to safeguard their future. Slide 27. So for more information about restraining orders, I encourage you, download a free copy of our book, A Guide for Domestic Violence Victims in New Jersey. It outlines victims' rights and the protections that New Jersey law provides, as well as the steps that can be taken right now to get out and find safety. The link to the book is www.wlg.com/DV. That's www.wlg.com/DV. G, which stands for Weinberger Law Group, .com/DV. So let's encapsulate this conversation about financial abuse. Breaking free from financial abuse requires us to support and encourage those affected by the abuse. We can do this by remembering these 5 steps. Make a plan. Make an exit. You can get out. Get support from friends, from the courts, from a domestic violence agency, from an attorney. Get protection. And maybe that's through a restraining order. And start rebuilding. Do you need help? We're available for free, confidential initial consultations and can answer all of your questions and start guiding you on the path to safety. You don't have to go it alone. You can break free, and you can get and stay protected. Please reach out to us anytime. Be well. Thank you.